tonight on Focal Point.
A tsunami that's about to hit us, about the impact of internet abuse. Certainly the prevalence of abuse through social media is only beginning to come forward. We've got some education workers that are going around primary schools and trying to teach them how to be safer in the internet sphere.
There's still that perception out there that it's the stranger, it's the dirty old man in the raincoat, you know, who's hanging about, you know, and that's not the majority of where the abuse occurs. You know, stranger attack are quite rare.
As a woman steward, I thought, well, I'd like to know more about this strike. But the version of it that we'd been told was that it wasn't a very important strike. And as soon as I started researching it, I realised very quickly that it was hugely important. So I'm in no doubt whatsoever that Irish women and girls began the modern trade union movement. Absolutely, they're absolutely crucial.
If we're going to support a company like Northern Ireland Opera, and it is our Arts Council is generously supporting us, we have a duty to support the local talent that is already here.
It's really, really exciting because I get to work with so many lovely people and the music's wonderful and it's just really exciting.
I also got the skills to set up as a self-employed tour guide, so I'm now an independent tour guide, and I chose to reclaim the name Millie, Belfast Millie Tours, from the women who worked in the mills, because at one time it was a good word and through the years it's just become a derogative term, so I'm reclaiming the word Millie.
Child sexual abuse and sexual violence is something that no child should ever have to go through. Nexus NI have opened up workshops that will help parents, youth workers and even teachers to deal with these situations if they ever have to talk about them. Joining me in the studio today is Pam from Nexus NI and Donna, who is a workshop facilitator, and they're going to tell us more. Pam and Donna, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. So Pam, first of all, for anybody who doesn't know, can you tell us who Nexus NI are?
Nexus are a charity and we've been based in Northern Ireland for 30 years now, and our primary role is to support anyone that's been sexually abused or raped. And then we also have education programs to try and spread awareness about the subject and reduce the stigma of sexual abuse, but also help people understand how to support someone.
And can you give us a brief description of child sexual abuse and sexual violence?
The way the sexual violence strategy describes it, it's actually anyone that's been violated sexually that they've perceived has been against their will. So the word perceived is really important. It's not what you or I would decide, it's what they see as being something that they don't want to have happened to them of a sexual nature.
And with over 30 years experience, obviously the internet has become so much bigger now. Have you seen an increase in events happening because of the internet?
I think we've still got, as I called it before, a tsunami that's about to hit us about the impact of internet abuse. Certainly the prevalence of abuse through social media is only beginning to come forward. We've got some education workers that are going around primary schools and trying to teach them how to be safer in the internet sphere. But I mean, as far as the need for our service, since Savo hit the media, the number of referrals, as in the number of new people that are coming to our service, has increased by 40%, and it hasn't dipped down at all. I mean, the month of January we had 100 new people that came looking for Nexus just in the Belfast office. So there's an increase in the knowledge of the subject, there's an increase in the media interest in the subject, and that can only be for the good. It can only be for the good of somebody that's suffering with this crime, with this history, and giving them the confidence to come forward and seek the support, because we can make their lives a lot better.
And Donna, there are workshops available and you're one of the facilitators for the workshops, so can you walk us through the process of what actually happens at them?
Okay, well the workshops that I deliver is targeted more for like community based, you know, voluntary organisations like a Women's Aid, Sure Starts, that kind of, you know, some people who are starting out in counselling. My workshop would focus mainly on, you know, sort of dispelling some myths, you know, as in who are the abusers out there, you know, where does the majority of the abuse take place, you know, because there's still that perception out there that it's the stranger, it's the dirty old man in the raincoat, you know, who's hanging about, you know, and that's not the majority of where the abuse occurs. You know, stranger attack are quite rare. How do people deal whenever people are first disclosing to them? You know, maybe someone working like in a voluntary organisation or something, you know, like a Women's Aid, and you know, they're coming with other issues, and then they maybe, you know, disclose that, because how someone actually responds to that can be quite powerful for the victim. You know, if someone's automatically responding and saying, you know, okay, you know, let's see what we can do here, you know, thank you for disclosing that, it's going to be a different outlook or a different outcome than somebody saying, oh, don't be going there, don't be telling me that, I can't cope with that. You know, so it's to empower people who are helping, you know, in a helping supportive role, and how they can actually cope, and give them the tools to feel, yes, we can cope whenever people disclose to us.
And what feedback have you gotten from the people who have taken part in the workshops? Like, what issues have they brought to you?
I think the main issue that what they've brought to me is that they're frightened of saying the wrong thing, and they're frightened of how are they going to cope. You know, and it's similar in many ways to people thinking, you know, if you think someone's suicidal, you know, if I mention the word suicide, am I going to make them suicidal? You know, that sort of thing. You know, you don't not talk about it. You need to talk about it and get it out in the open. You know, so it's giving them the tools to realise, okay, this is how you deal with it. You deal with it calmly, and you sit down, you listen, and you thank them for, you know, disclosing to you, and then you think, okay, well, where can I redirect these people? Where would be the best place for them to get some help now?
And if anybody wants to find out any more information about the workshops or about yourselves, how can they do that?
Yep, well, we do scheduled workshops, so we have specific dates that go up on our website, which is nexusni.org. But we can also deliver workshops to like an organisation or a community group that want to have one in their place. If they've got enough people, then we can deliver it for them. They just need to contact us. So, yeah, nexusni.org, or the Belfast number is 90326 803. And there's an online form on our website for anyone that's either interested in the training workshops, interested in attending them on a one-off individual basis, and we add it to our training mailing list. Or if you want counselling, if you're listening to this and you're suffering yourself, go onto the website and fill in that form, or pick up the phone and we can help you.
Pam and Donna, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
The very first International Women's Day was actually called International Working Women's Day, and it was specifically aimed at women. So International Women's Day is about 150 years old now, and as you know, we've got 5 talks. This particular one is about the labour movement, and so the 5 talks are quite varied, and this actually, as I said, brings to life the work of the labour movement at that time, you know, that many people don't know about.
I was on a trade union labour history course, and to be honest, the only women I really ever heard mentioned were these match girls. And you get the odd line about their sort of rotting, decaying jaws from the phosphorus necrosis and the fact that they went on strike. And that's really what started my interest as a woman steward. I thought, well, I'd like to know more about this strike. But the version of it that we'd been told, the traditional version, was that it wasn't a very important strike. It was led by a socialist journalist who really sort of forced the women themselves were more or less like puppets, you know, they were told to go on strike and they went on strike, and it wasn't important. And as soon as I started researching it, I realised very quickly that it was hugely important and that it had been downplayed historically. So then I got a little bit obsessed, and what was supposed to be one essay ended up being a PhD in a book and a festival. So I wasn't expecting that at the time when I started it. The worst thing for the match girls was phosphorus necrosis. They called it phossy jaw, and it would literally decay your jawbone while you were alive. There's some horrific pictures. It could kill you. If it didn't kill you, the only surgical option was just having the dead skin and jaw cut away. It was avoidable. That's the saddest thing that I discovered when I was researching it. Bryant and May were well aware that it existed. They said they weren't publicly, but when you get into their archives, you can see that privately they knew very well. They had all the evidence. They could have used another form of phosphorus, but it wasn't the cheapest, and it didn't make the best kind of matches, so they didn't. So women suffered and died. But it wasn't just that either. The girls that talked to Annie Besant, this journalist who did write a piece, an expose really of Bryant and May, said that they were also fined, which was actually illegal. So they're on already starvation wages, the lowest they've been for 10 years. Bryant and May pushed the wages down and down. This strike actually began because Annie Besant's expose was published. Bryant and May were furious. They had this great reputation. They were friends with government. They were a global corporation. So they start bullying the workers and saying, you've got to sign this statement saying everything this woman has written is lies, and that you didn't speak to her and she's got it all wrong, and you love working for us. It's all one big happy family. And very courageously, they all refused to sign the paper. So then Bryant and May, because that doesn't work, sack one girl who's very popular, using an excuse to sack her, not saying it's related to this. And they really underestimated their women, because they all streamed out of the factory gates behind this girl, 1,400, mostly women and girls, out onto the Bow Road, and immediately start picketing and parading the streets around, collecting money and singing very rude songs about Bryant and May. Bryant and May had said in an article in the Girl's Own paper, weirdly, a few years beforehand, all our hands hail from the Emerald Isle by birth or lineage, very flowery. But that was actually really important. Now, that was held against them in those days. To be a working class working woman was bad. To be an East Ender, from the East End of London, was very bad. East Ender was actually an insult. It was a term they used as an insult in those days. But to be Irish as well, come on, you know, you're really overdoing it now. But what I discovered was actually what the Matchwomen did that was so cool was they turned that on its head. They used this supposed negative as a massive positive. They were politicised by their experiences back home. The Irish community in London was incredibly political. It also had the most immense solidarity because they were up against it and because of conditions partly, but also the networks they had through the church, through music and poetry and cultural associations as well as political. This was such a tight community, and that's exactly what you need if you've got no union and no real power to carry off a strike like that. You need the support of your community. The dock strike of 1889, the London dock strike, basically a general strike, people have said that's the start of the union movement. That's men, that's proper history. The dockers, if you look at the actual record, say it's the Matchwomen that did it for us. They inspired us. We talked to their union. We got help from them. They absolutely showed that it could be done. So workers, the most exploited workers, begin to use strikes to form unions. So this is why, to this day, the fact that we have political trade unions trying to improve workers' conditions all stems from this 2 weeks in 1888. So I'm in no doubt whatsoever that Irish women and girls began the modern trade union movement. Absolutely, they're absolutely crucial.
Well, it's important because many historians have actually let the history of women and women's movements slip through the fingers, and they've not actually recorded it. But it's only more recent with feminist and socialist historians that have uncovered the movements that exist.
This is our beginning. All of us that are here today as women and as trade unionists, this is where things begin. These are our foremothers. We need to recognise that, and also we need their strength and solidarity. Today we have our own struggles that are very similar, that are very reminiscent. Working conditions in some cases are going backwards, and we need to remember these women and their strength.
Northern Ireland Opera are back for another show this March, but joining them on stage is a very special guest. Gervin McAvoy, a young treble singer from Belfast, will be joining them on stage, and he's in the studio with me today with Rachel Clark from Northern Ireland Opera to tell us more about it. Gervin and Rachel, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. So Gervin, can you tell us all about yourself? Where are you from and what school do you come from?
I'm 11 years old and I'm from Belfast and I attend Methodist College Belfast.
Can you tell us about this exciting opportunity with Northern Ireland Opera?
Yeah, it's really, really exciting because I get to work with so many lovely people and the music's wonderful and it's just really exciting.
And can you tell us about the opera and what role you play?
The Turn of the Screw is an opera by Benjamin Britten and it's quite dark, and I play the part of Miles, who is a young boy and he's quite posh and rich, and he lives in the countryside with his sister Flora, and a new governess arrives to take care of them, but then everything seems to be going well, but then things start going wrong and she starts seeing ghosts and it's pretty scary, but it's very good.
And how did you first get started in treble singing? Have you always been quite musical?
I wasn't very musical up until I was in primary 4 when I started playing the violin, and then in primary 5 a man called Nigel McClintock came to my school to audition people for his choir, which is the St Peter's Cathedral School of Cantorum. And I got in, and you have to be very committed because it's 3 rehearsals a week and then Mass on Sunday.
And Rachel, this is obviously such a huge opportunity for Garvan, so can you tell us how it all came about?
Well, The Turn of the Screw is obviously one of Benjamin Britten's most fantastic chamber operas. It's based on a novello by Henry James, and we've had a lot of success with it before. It's had a hugely successful Irish tour in 2012, and 2014 it went off to Moscow with another schoolboy actually, Thomas Deasley from St Malachy's. So it was definitely something that we wanted to do again and bring back to Northern Ireland. As far as theatre goes, I know the director, Oliver Mears, would describe it as perfect. It's one of those stories that everybody can draw on their own perception. Again, having had a local boy before, we had hoped to have someone again, and thanks to the educators here in Belfast, like Mr McClintock, we were able to put a call out, an audition call, to our schools and our children's choirs and the cathedral choirs, and 2 by 2 they came and auditioned, and Garvan was successful and really impressed the conductor.
And arts is obviously a huge debate here, especially in Northern Ireland, so why is it so important to give the younger generation a chance like this?
Well, I think if we're going to support a company like Northern Ireland Opera, and it is our Arts Council that is generously supporting us, we have a duty to support the local talent that is already here. You know, Garvan is doing exactly the perfect job, a wonderful job that if a child from across the water or anywhere else would do. You know, he's very much a professional. This is first and foremost a professional production, and locally to have someone with talent, fantastic. You know, and he really is representing the talent that Belfast has and should be proud of. And we're committed to being Northern Ireland's national opera company, and we want our local artists to appear on our stage. That's what we're here for.
And Garvan, you're getting ready to open up in a few days, so can you tell me what rehearsals have been like?
They've been quite intense because everyone else, except for Peter Quint, the actor for Peter Quint, who is one of the ghosts, has done it before. It's been really intense basically because it's been only 2 weeks. It's been really good because everyone's really nice, and like it's not pressured or anything. Like if you get something wrong, they'll just say, "Oh, that's fine, just do it again." Like it's really good.
And what's it been like working with some of the greats like Giselle Allen?
As I said, everyone's really nice and they're amazing singers. It can be quite intimidating, but everyone's really nice as well. So yeah, they're amazing singers.
And what do your friends and family think about all of this?
Well, I know loads of my friends and family are coming to see the opera. Everyone in my school has been really supportive. So yeah, and I've got to miss quite a lot of school. So it's great to have so many people supporting me, and it's going to be great.
And where do you see yourself in the next few years? Like, what do you want to do next?
Well, I'd like to go down a musical path, so hopefully stuff like musicals and going around the world with my choir and stuff like that, and maybe some more operas as well, hopefully.
And Rachel, if anybody wants to find out about The Turn of the Screw or any information about Northern Ireland Opera, where can they go?
For The Turn of the Screw and about the company, you can go to our website at www.niopera.com. It will be updated shortly, or you can go to the Lyric Theatre's website, as we'll be there with the show on the 11th and 12th of March, or you can contact the Millennium Forum, where we take the show on the 15th. Get details there, or there's the Failsafe. Just phone the office if you're interested to find out more about outreach and how we can support your choir, support your school. Contact us there or on info@niopera.com.
Garvan and Rachel, thank you very much for coming to the studio today. Thank you.
A few years ago, the Women's Resource and Development Agency and the Women's Tech got some funding from the Heritage Fund to devise this tour, to create this tour and to train women in being tour guides. I took part in the tour along with 15 other women, and we created the tour. It was designed to promote the contribution that women have made to the development of Belfast. I also got the skills to set up as a self-employed tour guide, so I'm now an independent tour guide, and I chose to reclaim the name Millie, Belfast Millie Tours, from the women who worked in the mills, because at one time it was a good word and through the years it's just become a derogative term, so I'm reclaiming the word Millie.
Well, it was a great opportunity to go on a free tour with a fantastic guide who knew everything about the history of women and the role that women had, which had been previously hidden, and it's raising the profile of women's contribution, especially in the area of social justice and trade unions, and all the women who have done so much. We went past the mills. We stopped at some of the places, like Conway Mill and the flax mill up on the Crumlin Road. We stopped at the courthouse and the jail. We stopped at the workhouses. We went around the Titanic Quarter. We went north, south, east and west in Belfast.
Well, we're bringing back to life the work that the women did in the linen mills, from the story from the half-timers. They started as children from as early as 8 years of age, working half their time in the mills and the other half going to school, right up until the conditions that they worked in, from early in the morning to late at night. Pregnant women working right up until they had their first contraction and back into work as soon as the umbilical cord was cut. Their families bringing their babies up to the gate so that they could breastfeed. The horrible conditions, the low pays. Also, we're promoting women from all walks of life from throughout the city. We have Republican women like Winifred Carney, to Unionist women like Isabella Todd, education reformers like Margaret Byers over in who created the Victoria College, where the Crescent Art Centre is today. We have the suffragettes, which is probably one of the main ones that we concentrate on, and how they were imprisoned in Crumlin Road Jail, how they were the first organisation to use hunger striking and not recognising the court as political weapons. So we're taking everybody in.
Well, I was looking forward to seeing some women who I knew and meeting some women who I hadn't met before, from working class areas of Belfast, from women's groups who are active themselves.
You really need more women to get vote for and get power back into this country.
It's very important, because if we don't highlight it, and if it's not done now, then it'll be further swept under the carpet. As you know, history is written by men and usually the winners, so women are never mentioned in history and nothing that they've done. The economy of the north of Ireland was built on the back of women, from the linen industry till the rope industry, the tobacco industry, yet this is never highlighted. So bit by bit we're getting there, and it's a long road, but we're on it.
Well, I was involved in International Women's Day myself in the 90s. So I was involved in the early days, and it's fantastic to see it's still happening and it's growing, and we have gained some ground, but there's still a way to go. So it's still crucial, still very important for the young women who are involved as well.
Well, the word I always love hearing them saying, especially from older women, when they say it was very interesting, and that's all I want to hear. It's very interesting. We have women coming from all walks of life, women from the Shankill who are now visiting Republican areas in the Falls, women from the Falls visiting Loyalist areas in the Shankill. So it gives women and men an opportunity to visit other parts of the city that they wouldn't normally, and to hear about different bits of history that they wouldn't normally hear about. I think one of the shocking things when people find out about particularly were the Irish language and how it was the Presbyterians who saved it. You know, how people in our history had different backgrounds. We weren't all in boxes in them days. We did have Protestants, Unionists who spoke the Irish language.
People want more information. How can they do so?
Yeah, you can get in contact with me. I'm on the internet. The website is www.belfastmilliestours. And you can also, my phone number, my email and all there. You can also get in contact with the Women's TAC or the Women's Information Group or the Women's Resource and Development Agency.
And now, tomorrow's weather.